Hey everybody, I'm Kim.
And I'm Penn, and this is, I believe, our
10th?
Well, we did a double for the first one and a double for the last one, so this is our
Doesn't even matter.
9th Amazing Race special, and this is kind of a post-game to meet some of the other racers that we became very close friends with during the Amazing Race season 33, and I know you're excited about this one.
So this is Cayla Platt and Raquel Moore. They were runners-up for season 33. We are going to be talking to Ryan and Dusty, hopefully Lulu Lala, Aruna Natalia, Phil wants to get on the podcast, but I'm especially excited to bring you Cayla and Raquel. They ended as team number 2. They have the second best average of any female team that has ever run this race. They are fierce competitors. I pegged them from day one as just like I was going to hitch my wagon to that train. I was like, they're going places. And so it was great to be able to talk to them.
Yeah, and we're going to talk not only about the race, but really just about their lives before and after. They are fascinating women, and they're so much has happened to them even since the race has been over. So catching up is really nice too. I think you're really going to love hearing from both of them. I
will say, give you a little headline because we got to it kind of later in the show. Raquel, go to theraquelmoore.com. She started a life coaching business. And I will tell you in the show, the life advice she gave me that I still use to this day.
And on the other side, before we get going, because this was kind of toward the end, Cayla and Dusty, one of the other racers, have been doing a podcast all season long, and Kayla's got a real knack for it. It is the Pit Stop Podcast if you want to check out some of their stuff.
They are a joy. You saw them laughing and giggling on the show, and that is them in real life. So yeah. Here we go, Raquel and Cayla. I am so excited to see your faces. Hi.
It's so good to see you two.
We got to see you in Miami to watch the finale.
I know.
So talk to it that was hard. That was hard. So what was that like watching it on a TV screen like the size of a football field?
Well, I mean, it was, I think for me, it was nice to finally rip that final Band-Aid off, because I think it's hard when it initially happens and then you have, several months to kind of heal yourself and, get into a better place with it. And then to have to re-watch that all over again. And then just to see how close it was and to see something like the candy trip us up. We're like, the candy. The lack of common sense thinking that they're amazing race colors. Cause I'm like, yellow, mustard yellow and red.
That's such an odd choice.
I didn't even have
it's like who has candy that's the color of chicken McNugget sauce?
Yes,
it just never
who would do that?
Because I remember that final challenge, saying to Cayla, well, the candy has to be this color. What is this random color? And I never even in my mind thought, oh, that's an Amazing Race color.
But we had it. We did change it to the Amazing Race colors multiple times, but that was also the moments that we had changed the coin. And so yeah. Honestly, it made me feel a little better watching it back, seeing that you guys got faults too. Because honestly, again, we're separated by a wall and we're just focused on what we're doing and actually having a full-blown meltdown. And so I don't know what you guys are doing. And then so watching it back and seeing that you guys got fault made it feel a little better, because I thought you guys just came in, got it first try, and I was like, wow, that's embarrassing.
I mean, yeah, we definitely, it took some time to go through all of the different ones, and everyone got caught up on the coin because you guys didn't look at the coin. You were ready to get the bleep out of there. No one wanted to look at the coin.
I know. Raquel's are we sure about the coin? I'm like, I have no idea. I didn't see the coin. I literally just screamed bloody murder when you got it. And I was like, let's go. And so I was like, did you look at it? She's like, I mean, I know it's gold, but then you guys saw it wasn't a true gold.
So that's the finale, but that's bloop, bloop, bloop. Yeah. Back it up 2 years.
Because we've talked about the finale enough over the last couple of days, haven't we guys?
Yes,
we're good. We're good.
So 2 years. What I think a lot of people don't realize about these shows is you're not really permitted to talk to the other teams unless cameras are rolling, and cameras are not always rolling. So you just kind of see other people. So we're trying to figure out who these people are, and the Giggle Twins, I'm trying to remember what we called you, but you guys were always laughing. Like we were always trying to
before,
be before we met you. So you guys were always laughing. So I was always trying to like be near you in the room because you guys seemed like so much fun. But that's why when I met you, you see us meeting like in the first episode in the Charlotte airport. I'm like, of course you're hot flight attendants. I'm like, I was trying to figure out what the story was. I'm like, yes, that makes sense. You're hot flight attendants. So did you guys have any first impressions of us?
Yeah, you were hot mom and dad who were from Southern California and you were news reporters. And I feel like we got part of that right. We got the hot part right. We got the former, TV personnel right. We just didn't get the Southern Cal. We just totally got the wrong coast.
There's something, I guess, something about us that screams Southern California because Dusty and Ryan said the same thing, and Taylor and Isaiah also said the same thing. They all assumed that we were from California, which is very sweet.
Well, you're beautiful and blonde. I mean, it kind of fits.
No, that's gray, Raquel. I'm just making sure you know that's not blonde. It's turned white, but thank you.
Do you remember when we were taking pictures in Florida for the finale, and I was right above you, and I said, wow, I've never seen your head, the top of your head, obviously. Yes. And I said, my God, does Penn have good hair? I mean, it is full. There's not a single ounce of like loss over here. So he's got good hair.
I'm knocking on wood right now. I'm knocking on wood.
He does have good hair. And Phil always like on the, they don't show every conversation, but every time we roll up to the mat, he's like, and your hair still looks great. Like he was really into Penn's hair. And Ryan's cast.
Right. So let's go back to the kind of preconceived notions and the fact that on these races, you spend quite a lot of time around people and able to stare at them, but not say anything to them because there were like hall monitors there saying like, don't talk. I understand why. It's part of the gamesmanship of the race, right? They want you to have these preconceived notions. And then when we actually had to fly out to London, when cameras were rolling, we got a chance to meet you guys. And that part was on camera, but that was such a relief just to have a free conversation with somebody.
Yes.
And you guys were just immediately so interesting and funny and the kind of people that like we realized we're not going to be able to do this because we're going to be on a race, but we're going to want to hang out with these people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, immediately. I was like, I mean, obviously you were depicted as like, the mom and dad or whatever, but like, that's truly how we felt. Like you guys are always smiling. You just had this like calming, like aura about you to where like, yeah, we giggled throughout the whole thing, but we were also incredibly nervous. Like we didn't have a background in like, being on TV. Well, I guess Raquel, she was the new, a news anchor in Chicago, but we were just we were normal flight attendants. We didn't like save a life. We didn't go viral. So like, it was just like a very intimidating thing to kind of go into. And also with like $1 million on the line, to where I would just like, I felt like a sense of calmness, like that I get out of like my own parents. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like I just want to be around them as much as possible because like, I just feel calm and I feel like collected around them.
Well, I'm glad you felt that way.
I called you mom, not just because you're a mom, but I was like, oh my God, I feel like you're my mom. Like you're so nurturing by nature. And I'm like, you're the closest thing I have to a mom here.
I was like, I will take care of you.
Love and empathy.
Well, and again, these are all just brief moments that we had at the airport. And then the race starts and we don't see y'all for a while because you have gotten well ahead of us. For the first couple of legs. Like you guys were tough to catch. You finished very well on the early legs. I think Scotland, we got ahead of you guys. Like we were never really on the course at the same time. And I tell people this, when this season diverged from other seasons, because of COVID, it wasn't just because we had to shut down and come back up in 19 days, but we all experienced the same kind of trauma of seeing this global pandemic coming, learning that this thing that we'd been training for as long as we could remember was going to be canceled. And then having like a few precious moments in that hotel, like all together before we had to go home. And that's where I think some real relationships were forged on this race.
Yeah. Did you guys have any suspicions that the race was going to be stopped?
Honestly, me and Raquel live in our little bubble. You saw that we didn't even know what Brexit was. So we were just like, wow, we're getting like a lot of extra time in the hotel. Oh my gosh. Do you think they're going to let us go down to the bar? Like I mean, I can't speak for Raquel too, because that's just not a topic that we discuss. But no, I thought something was definitely going on, like something was wrong, but I didn't know that it had
anything to do with like a pandemic. Like it was like briefly discussed and brought up like before leaving. But again, like I'm just so like in my own world, and like I fly and I'm on the go, and I don't pay attention to the news to where I truthfully was like, what? Like there's a pandemic? Like I was just like kind of like the dumb like blonde. I mean, my hair's not blonde right now, but like I didn't have any idea. Raquel?
Well, I remember we weren't supposed to talk, but I remember we were all leaving our rooms to go out to have like lunch or dinner downstairs. And because we'd all obviously in the same vicinity, even though we couldn't, converse. But I remember looking at Penn and being like, is this bad? And you're like, yeah, no, like this is really bad. And I got my news from Penn because like no one really understood the severity at the time. I mean, I think when we were there, it was like Italy started closing down and things started trickling.
Yeah.
But I looked at you and you were like, oh, this is worse than we even think. And I'm like, if Penn thinks this is bad.
And by the way, I get my news from Kim. So just so you know, like that's the chain of command. Right
I was
here.
like, baby, we're going home.
We're going home. Yeah.
We were both watching, but she watches it a little more closely than I do.
I remember being in the hotel. It was the day after the crazy the crazy leg, which don't you feel like they didn't show enough of the trauma of that leg?
Well,
that was so hard.
I wish they showed Cayla crying. That would have been great.
Hold on, Cayla cried?
Oh, sob.
Oh my God.
So like if you see me go, if you see Raquel and I at the mat with Phil at that end, like at the pit stop, he's like, you guys are sixth. And I was like, okay. Like my eyes look like bubbled over. Like I like have no emotion. It was like the only time on the Amazing Race that I feel like I wasn't giggling and I wasn't smiling. Like I was emotionally depleted. Mm-hmm. I was supposed to do the bagpipes, like, in our strategy of, alternating or however we went into the roadblock situation. And I was like, Raquel, I can't do it. Like I'm not an aggressive driver. I'm from the South. I'm like a 10-2. Like I maybe go 2 miles over the speed limit. And, Raquel and like the extra YouTube video, she's like, go over that little curb. And like, it literally wasn't even a curb. It was like the smallest thing ever. I was like, Raquel, I can't. I
was like, Cayla, put your big girl pants on.
No, driving was not for me.
I remember you were cheering me on because I didn't want to do the bagpipes. And I was like, okay, I got to take one for the team because she's having a rough day. And you're cheering me on like the good teammate that you are, and I was looking at you like, if I hear another peep out of you, I'm gonna I was like just giving you this look like, do not cheer for me right now because this should be you and I'm miserable. And then like we had to reverse the car like multiple times. It took us like an hour plus to find the bung. I mean, it was a nightmare, and I feel like that was everybody's. It took us forever to find the car. I mean,
we were actually one of the last. Yeah, we were one of the last teams to find the car. And obviously, like we made up a lot of ground throughout the day, but starting off last finding the car, we thought we were in last the whole entire time until we saw people at the barrels. The barrels was the first moment where we caught up with people. So that whole entire morning, the bagpipes, sorry. That whole morning, it was a long haul to get to the bung, which, they didn't even show.
They didn't show the bung.
Well, so you had it. So we should say this, and there's pictures
that's why I feel like the fact that we keep saying the bung, we should explain this to people, right?
The super fans do these like recap podcasts. They're like, why was it taking him 2 hours to go, 3 miles from the airport or the train station? I'm like, you guys. We drove, it was like a 30-mile drive. We stopped in some lady's, there was nowhere to ask directions. And so we like literally went into this woman's house, like in a, like,
so did we.
Yeah. And
she had just lost her dog and she was in her nightgown.
Braless in a bathrobe.
And she had dial-up internet.
She let us in her house.
She was wonderful. I hit a beer truck on the way.
Yeah, he hit it, and they didn't
knock the side view mirror off.
I heard.
Yeah.
And so funny because Coach and Anthony and Spencer, and because we found the car right away, and he can drive really well, and he's left-handed, so I feel like being on the opposite side of the road worked for him. And they literally, we didn't say follow us, guys. We never said that. They just all started following us. So this train of people, and then he hits the car, and they're like, "Oh!" And they didn't bother getting directions. They didn't know where they're going, but they just left us there. Good thing for us.
The beer guy gave us directions.
The beer guy gave us directions.
The guy whose car we hit.
So,
well, and that's what's so fun about watching it back is because that was we obviously had a emotional and like friendship connection with you guys. And I knew that you guys would be underestimated. I personally don't think her and I ever underestimated you guys, but we didn't see it until that leg. That leg, you guys, that was such a hard day for Raquel and I. And we heard and we kind of saw the navigation where you guys led. And that was the moment for Raquel and I where we were like, ooh. Mom and dad are scary. Like,
Mom and dad can read a map. Yeah.
Like that first day in London, we were like actually not too far behind that initial pack. And we did this like crazy hard thing. The second day in London, we screwed up royally, but still finished well. But I'm like, we're middle of the pack. Nobody's going to see us coming. Everybody's going to underestimate us. And I think as women are always underestimated. So that's why we were going to be a dynamic duo from the start.
Yes. I mean,
you were.
If I was a fan watching the show and even just, watching the show from our perspective, I called it from the beginning. I was like, oh, Mom and Dad are the best. Because that first day, even though you came in fourth, you were still the first person to finish that puzzle that was so hard for everybody else to finish. So if you had done the challenge that we did, I was like, it's not a good indicator. They came in fourth, but you're basing it on them doing something completely different than we're doing. I was like, these two are too smart for their own good.
Well, yeah, we felt the same way about you guys. We got a chance to get to know everyone better. I don't want to talk too much over production, but when the race got suspended,
we had some time at the Hilton in Glasgow.
We had some time,
and Mom and Dad had memorized their credit card numbers, so everybody could have a nice
Bless
time.
you.
Mom and Dad dropped some dough for us to all have one too many cocktails.
You're welcome,
we were like
Phil.
Putting down the big bucks on our tab. I didn't know that until
you were like, everybody was given like 14 pounds in leg money, and everybody's like, pool your money, people, pool your money.
Yeah, I remember.
But then what's funny is everyone was like, oh yeah, we all spent our leg money. I go, no, our leg money was gone within 30 minutes of that whole outing. I go, Kim and Penn memorized their credit card, and everyone's like, what? And I go, yeah, you think we all drank that long off of leg money? No.
Yeah.
I want to ask about what kind of work you guys did, how much you kept in touch in between the two times, because it seemed like your mindsets were different, and you guys like were really bringing joy to every single scene. Like if you guys haven't watched any of the YouTube clips that they put on as like extras for the shows, it's always Raquel and Cayla getting into some sort of situation and laughing their way through it. And I remember like watching, I knew the outcome, but even as someone who hadn't watched it, they work together so well, particularly in adverse times. You guys found this like joyous way to get through everything. And I was wondering if that was just because you'd become closer friends, or if that's something that you talked about. I thought it was fascinating.
Yeah, I think I can speak for both of us. I definitely think the show brought us closer together. Absolutely. Even though we lived together in New York City, we both had, we were both gone at different times and had just different things going on in our lives. And Cayla was always gone. She was in a serious relationship at the time. And so we just definitely grew to be a lot stronger. But I think for me, it was just having lost our job for a year and just this loss of, I think a lot of people were dealing with mental health issues during COVID when you don't have that sense of community and things are taken from you. And so I just really tried working on myself. I knew how hard it was for me the first time doing the show because, you can't talk to your loved ones. You're put in these crazy stressful situations every day. You're on camera. So it's just like you in a sense are letting go control, in an aspect of your life. And so I just knew coming back on this show is like, I'm just going to enjoy this and have fun with this, because at the end of the day, the reality is I'm on a reality show chasing a bunch of people for, and running around the world for $1 million. So I was like, let's just have fun. My grandpa said it best. He's like, just do the best you can. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
Have fun with it. So I think that's just what we did. I was in a good place mentally. I'd, come off being in a really hard place, and, we just came in with the right mindset.
We both went through something that was like kind of unbelievably amazing, and then had to come back to something that was like unbelievably disappointing, losing our job. So we kind of dealt with the burden of saying we were so close to having this opportunity, because I didn't think we were going back to the Amazing Race. I really didn't think it was, I was like, no way with this pandemic. It didn't seem to be slowing down. Like, I just didn't think that they could find a safe way to do it, which obviously they did. And I'm grateful for, but yeah, like our jobs were taken away. And even though we got them back shortly before going back, it's not the same job that we left. Just the way that travel is right now, it's not as glamorous of a career as it was when we started, 5 years ago when we met each other. And so we said, like, the first day getting to Switzerland, I was like, oh my God, I feel like myself again. Like, her and I both were like, I felt like we lost a bit of ourselves, and we had to go through that together as friends, just losing a piece of ourselves and like trying to put it back together without that major component, which was travel. So like we obviously thank Amazing Race and Elise and Bertram for like finding a way to like do this safely, but like it honestly like brought a piece of like our identity back together, and like to see her be excited and like, a piece of her come back. And then I'm sure she saw it in me too. Like we couldn't not have fun, like
Cayla, like our lives were so active. I mean, we used to travel around the world, around the country constantly. And then it was just all of a sudden you're like at home all the time and you're just confined. And it was such a strange, I mean, everyone, went through the same thing, but just because we, we're on the go more, but it was just such a strange time in our life. It was really hard in a lot of ways. So it was like a breath of fresh air, being able to, be out of the country and to be traveling again.
Our teams, Mom and Dad and Raquel and Cayla here, because we were allowed to talk on airplanes and such like that. But once in hotels, we were very confined because of COVID. There was a signal that we would yell out the windows when we wanted.
Do we all do it at the same time?
But then, like, you guys wouldn't hear us, and it would get really, like, very, like, like, so really, like, murderous sounding.
We would yell it to you guys really loud. I'm like, are they deaf? Are they prematurely going deaf? Like, can they not hear this?
So the answer is yes.
Like attempted rocks.
So, caw. And I remember like one time, didn't you say like you threw an apple at our window, but it landed like at Matt's window, like the producers?
Yes, he was directly below us. And again, we're side by side. So Raquel's having to like, what is that? What's a didgeridoo? Not a didgeridoo. That's the instrument. Boomerang. She's like having to like boomerang it into your window.
Wow. If you were to throw a didgeridoo into a window, that would do some damage.
And it wasn't to talk strategy.
No, I wanted to make that clear. We weren't cheating. We just wanted other humans to talk to.
And we wanted help with crossword puzzles.
I wanted crossword answers. I was like, who would know this? I was like, I have to ask Penn and Kim. I have to. Like, I would sit there for 20 minutes and I couldn't get it. And I was like, Raquel, I got a caw again. And she's like, you just cawed. And I go, I have to caw again. I need this crossword answer to get the other four around it.
Cayla, do you remember when we accidentally hit Matt's window and he sticks his head out and he's looking everywhere? Like, what was that? And I was like, that's a weird bird. What was that? Like, and Matt's just like looking everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, we almost got caught.
I didn't know that. That's really funny.
Oh yeah. It was like, I mean, for a good 30 seconds, he's just like, did anyone else hear that? What's happening? I'm
like, they have weird birds in Switzerland. It is so strange here, right? Oh my gosh. But again, no strategy was discussed. No. It was exclusively crossword puzzles.
Cayla still has an addiction to crossword puzzles thanks to the show.
I do. And I do the Wordle every day. I was obsessed with that video that you guys put out, but like I still have the crossword book that I had during Amazing Race because I still, even with all the time that we had, I did not finish it.
You didn't finish it. So, okay, there were laughs. Laughs were had. I think that it was so much fun. And I think one of the reasons why this cast is so bonded is because we did travel and we would do those long plane flights together. So there was fun times for sure. And being on the race is amazing. What would you say was the hardest part of the race or the experience as a whole for you guys?
I think the wait time in between each leg, because, unlike a normal non-COVID season, it's like you're racing back to back. And for Cayla and I, we're kind of just used to being go, go, go and, running through different time zones and on a lack of sleep. And so, yes, it was nice that we had more rest, but, 24, 48 hours in a hotel room when you don't have cell phones, and the TV has 2 channels that aren't even in English half the time, and just not being able to talk to your family and all of your comforts back home. And I think that's hard. And then just coming off of the stress of, each leg of the race, and then, you're processing everything and you're sitting in your room. And for me, it's like, I go stir crazy. Like I can't even spend a day at home and I start going crazy. So that was the hardest part for me personally.
Yeah, I would 100% second that. And then only to add to it, I'm used to like playing sports where it's like, it's a team effort. You have a group of people. We were obviously still a team, but it's just 1 and 2, to where if someone falters or if someone slips up, it's either on her or it's on me is how we looked at that. Mm-hmm. And that was something that I think we got better at over time, was to not put that pressure on each other, because it just becomes overwhelming at time. But it was extremely nerve wracking, to do a roadblock and be like, oh my gosh, if I don't get out of here, like I'm letting Raquel down, and then she would feel the same way. And I had to be like, Raquel, that's not how I feel at all. Like, I'm proud of you. You're fine. And then it was like, as I would say those words to her, I realized like, oh, I need to keep that mindset when I go into it. So like, there was definitely some like personal growth that needed to happen there, because it's just like, I'm not only letting her down, but I'm letting her down like on television, where like my parents, who are just diehard fans of the show, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to let them down. I just had to learn to be like kind to myself, which Raquel told me she goes, you need to learn to be kind to yourself. And I go, oh my God, you're right. That was hard for me, which I think a lot of people don't really see, was I really was hard on myself. And I had to learn to just take it easy and have fun. And I did that.
I think we all were hard on ourselves at some point or another during this race. I think we can all look at 2 or 3 moments where we probably could have given ourselves a little more of a break. But I mean, you guys, you communicated well. Your friendship seemed to grow in front of us as we were watching. You guys had, it peaked with these like leg win celebrations that you have. And I kind of want I want Sam to put some of this video up, because we have it, of like slow down, because you each have your own unique method of celebration.
It's like a lot of jumping.
Raquel's very fisty. She's like legs spread fisty. And Cayla is like a jumping butt out, arms forward, like weird. It's almost like a jumping air squat that she does each time. And it's like every time you did it, I'm like, here comes the jumping butt squat from Cayla, and here comes the leg spread air punching from Raquel. And it was
great
but it
to
was
see.
So filled with joy. I don't think,
even though you're kicking our
teaching
butts.
me so much about myself.
There's just like, I think it's just unbridled joy, and it was impossible not to smile when you guys won a leg or even a challenge.
I know, it was fun. Even though you were kicking our butts at the time, I was like, well, that's pretty good. I'll give him that.
It's just like, look at the competition we're going up against. It's you guys and Dusty and Ryan, and even like Natalia and Arun in the Domates challenge. Like, it's just like everyone here was so great, and everyone also was so competitive, but we're also like friends, to where like, it's just like, just like words can't express. It was like a full body like movement. I was like, oh my God. Like, I was just so happy.
Awesome.
The producers told us that after we had won first place in Greece for the first time, they said they've never seen a team celebrate like it was like we won the whole show. And they're like, you just won like 1 leg of the race. I'm like, yeah, but we also just won a trip to Kauai. It's a big deal.
No, they told us that. Like, I was coming in like bloody. I was like blistered, bloody. Yeah. And they're like, do you want a ham sandwich? You really should have seen Raquel and Cayla. They were great. I'm like, guys, too soon.
Yeah.
Too soon.
It's good for them. Like, I'm scarred for life.
Scarred for life, but cool. Good for, no, I was very, very proud of you guys.
I do want to go over just a couple of moments, and these aren't really like heavy moments. They're just moments that I'd love to get your personal opinion on, that we can put some video over and talk about. Raquel eating the souvlaki.
Also heard about that.
Was my second to favorite. I'm going to tell you my first favorite. That was my second favorite moment in the show, which, again, the producers are like, congrats on your leg. You should have seen Raquel eat this souvlaki.
Literally, we checked in. They're like, you guys did great. Raquel just put an entire souvlaki down her mouth.
So take us through that, ladies.
I have a big mouth. First of all, imagine coming in like first or second. We were neck and neck. It was like first or second place to the Domates challenge. And I'm like, okay, I got this. Like I've eaten plenty of tomates in my life. And then I just kept messing up and I had no idea what I was doing wrong. So I'm leaving in very dead last place. I mean, at one point I was like, I think this is how we're going to lose. I'm just not going to understand how to make tomates. And so when we we found the Souvlaki place really quickly. I mean, honestly, we did a great job finding that. And so all I knew is that I messed up so badly and I got us in last place that I had to use this massive mouth of mine and just inhale the Souvlaki. And I love my partner, but this woman eats so slow. I mean, if it was up to her, we probably would have been eliminated that round. And I mean, here she is. She's like eating like a fry or two, and like kind of gagging because she doesn't like mustard. And I'm like just not even breathing through the whole thing. Like I was an absolute animal. I was like, my significant other is either going to be turned on or completely repulsed by me. It's going to be one or the other. And I just downed that thing so fast, like an absolute just filthy animal. But I was like, I got to do this because there was nobody else around. And then finally Arun and Natalia came. So I knew that we weren't in last place. And then they didn't know how to spell Souvlaki. So I was like, okay, that's a little bit of a saving grace for a second. Just a tiny bit of breathing room. But I was like, wow, and then they were like filming me and I have food all over my face and I'm getting in it. I was like, oh, I must really look like an animal eating this.
Kayla?
But like from like second hand, like we get this thing, I'm like, oh, like Souvlaki. Like when she said it, I couldn't understand it. So when she spelled it, I was like, oh my God, Raquel, I was literally blown away. But then when she handed it to me, I was like, oh, like, okay, I've had this. I like this. And then I see it and it's got fries and mustard on top. And I go, I don't think you're supposed to have fries and mustard on top. So in my mind, I'm like, I don't like mustard. And I'm a slow eater. So I take like 2 French fries. I'm thinking like, let me just get the French fries off and like maybe then I can help out. And I'm like just staring at these gross French fries with mustard, trying to eat them. I drop one. I have to pick it up. I put that in my mouth. And then I go to like help Raquel. And I just notice that her like jaw is unhinged and the camera's like right up in her. And I'm kind of like, move, I need to get a bite. And then I'm like, oh, she's done. Like, oh,
it was an extremely tight angle. And then, I mean, just the way that you said, like, I'm savage, like just like half comatose. That was number 2. That was my number 2 favorite moment with you guys. My number 1 favorite moment.
I'm interested.
Was when the boys were on the mat and they were all pumped in Corsica at the creek. And they took their shirts off and they did a cutaway of you guys making fun of the boys taking their shirts off and flexing. And I'm so glad they kept that moment in. And then it just kind of led to like a little bit more of the narrative. Like these guys are such testosterone jolts every time they come around, and we do love them, but just that one, it was only like 1 or 2 seconds on the TV, but I thought that summed you guys up so well in your personality, because I know you guys, and that wasn't meant to be like, oh, I hate these guys. You were openly making fun of them for ripping their shirts off at the finish line.
Yeah, and like but it wasn't just about like the shirt thing. It was, again, like we were just having so much fun through it, and like we knew that they were competitive, but when they come in and like, I mean, there's just steam coming out of the ears, like there's no smiling. It's like, you guys just came from last all the way to third, like, you know, how about a smile and whatever. And it was just like, before they could crack a smile, they had to crack the life vest, you know. And so honestly, we were making fun of them, but also trying to be like, will you guys like smile and laugh and have a good time for a second, because you just beast moded your way through that whole leg. But I mean, that's just like, we just like to poke the bear just because like we're all friends. But like my favorite part honestly wasn't even us mocking them. It was the guy, the greeter, who was like, you know, and I was like,
good edit there.
Yeah. My second favorite part was definitely the band validating what I already was making fun of. But my favorite part was 100% making fun of them. I was like, this is great. Like, I'm going to soak this in. Because I mean, I would just make fun of anybody. I mean, I make fun of myself all the time, but I was like, this is such perfect timing. And they're such bros. And like, yes, they worked very hard for their bodies, 100%. But I was like, oh, I need to poke at them right now.
No, you guys do you guys know this? You have the second highest female average of any female team that has ever run this race.
Someone told us in Miami, and I'm just like, what?
No,
like,
I feel like, and I also feel like Lulu and Lala were a very strong team. I feel like our season had 2 female teams and both very strong. And you guys finished second. You have the second highest of any other female team that's ever run this race. To me, when people ask me about you, I always said that you guys had like this go, go, go energy, like this, like you, that first day you kind of like jumped over that wall. I mean, you guys were like, what do you think it is that made you so successful / and or why aren't more female teams this successful in this race from your perspective?
I think that Cayla and our strengths and weaknesses are really different. So I think that helps. I think that the things obviously that she's really good at, I'm not, and we pick up each other's slack really well in that way. So I think we just work together well as a team. I think just our ability to always, Cayla uses this word a lot, be our biggest cheerleaders, which is what we were on the show. I think that was huge because we always just supported each other and communicated well. And like, we, didn't have petty drama, and we were just in this race together, like 2 good friends that just had a great time, and we appreciated that. And I think just, we analyzed like every leg and what we could do better. And we really learned to kind of take a step back and slow things down and, control the game more, in a slower pace. Because I think the biggest mistakes are made when you're just rushing through things. So I think that I think you saw just us grow, as racers on the show, as individuals throughout the race. Yeah. What do you think, Kay?
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard to say, like, I don't know why there hasn't been more female teams that win. Like, I wish that I had a more specific answer, but like now, like running it, so much of it is physical. And I will argue anyone that says that rock challenge wasn't physical, that you and Kim did. Like, you're bent over these rocks for hours. That's so strenuous on your back and your knees. And then tough luck, guys, leg wasn't over. I mean, we had to run how many miles?
It's like 5 miles.
And then, it's just this, whether a task specifically looks physical or not, it's a very physical race. Like from start to end, add the emotional and mental stress that you put on yourself individually and as a team. And I don't know if it's the physical side that, these female teams like haven't been able to overcome. But I think with physical confidence, you need mental and emotional confidence, not just with yourself, but with your partner. And I believed in her physical abilities wholeheartedly. And, she believed in mine and my endurance. But like, yeah, I mean, what it all came down to is when you see your partner is struggling, you have to step up for them. And that was just something that I think we both were very good at. I could see when she was starting to be like, and I was just like, Raquel, it's fine. It's fine. We got this. I'm proud of you no matter what. And it's the thing that wins this race, honestly, is like, it is a team effort, and you have to be the best team, like wholly. It doesn't matter how physical you are. It's not, as we saw, it's not what's going to get you. It's studying.
But that being like, a lot was made about my note taking, but you guys were like right there too. Yeah. You guys did all that studying too.
We did the note taking too, but it's just, ours was that day. And like you said, the imaging, seeing that coin, granted the candy was what initially tripped us up, but I didn't think to look at her coin.
And it's not,
Anyway. Well, you wouldn't have been able to look at her coin because we were 50 yards away up in the top, and she had to present it to the Oracle. So we've been discussing this a lot, and I'm glad that you answered all that. I think you guys also were you guys were physically better than us. The only exception being, I could jump higher than you, I think was the only time.
But as a team, you guys are faster runners
than
we are.
Yeah. I mean, we basically left.
The mountain challenge, no, Penn, you were so good at that. That was really hard for me.
Well, I was just falling.
I was so impressed.
I just fell very quickly down a mountain without losing my balance.
And again, I tell people, I'm like, I'm not a slow person. Like, I can run 5 miles at a 9-minute mile, but you guys run 5 miles at like a 7:30 or a 7-minute mile. And you guys are so I'm like, and at that, at the very end with the 106, like the vision test that Cayla gets on the first try with her young eyes, like there was a minute where if we were Dusty and Ryan, maybe there's a world where we could have caught up with you, but Penn's like, let's go. I'm like, honey, no. We're good.
I'm glad
second place is great.
I'm glad you mentioned the vision challenge. You guys, that last day, I counted it. And if you count you guys getting in front of us briefly on the way off the elevator and then us passing you again on the way to the piñata, we had 8 lead changes. Our two teams had 8 lead changes in the finale. 8.
2 episodes, yeah.
So one can only assume that if they'd just done a couple of more challenges, there were going to be more. The trend that I hated the most about the lead changes were the trend was we passed you guys on the way and you beat us through every roadblock or route info. And then we'd pass you on the way and then you'd beat us back. And you'd pass us on the way, beat us back. But I don't think people can get the gist of how insanely back and forth this was compared to other episodes and seasons where they have to kind of fabricate this. This was really that close.
It really was.
Yeah. So many people, we get questions of like, was that editing or how close was it? And I'm like, of course we're not supposed to talk about that, but like no, this was the most intense. I mean, I'm a fan of the show and I'm running it. So obviously I'm biased. I'm like, this is the most intense finale I've ever experienced. Obviously I'm the one experiencing it, but even watching it back, I'm like, no, guys, like that is how it happened. Like they were ahead, then we would get ahead. Yeah. They got ahead of us again. Oh no, we're back in the lead. And I'm like, I'm sweating and I already know what happens. I'm like, oh my God, like this was just so incredibly close. And this is how I wanted it to go down though. Like, it's like, I wanted to run with the best and like
we did
I would not change a single thing. Like it was the best final 3 that I could have ever asked for.
It really was. It was 3 strong teams and the best one won. But it was like, that's how you win, right? It's like you put the best of the best up to the challenge and whoever wins. I mean, that's the nature of the game, right? But
8 lead changes.
It was neck and neck.
It really was. And that's why like we get up there and, Phil's doing his speech about like, I don't even know how 17 cities, whatever it was. And I'm like, is this real? Like, I feel like there should be one more thing. Like, are you sure? Like, I'm waiting for you to tell me this isn't real because it was that close.
Don't worry. Part of me was like, please, is there one more?
I know. So it was, and I have to say instantly, like, of course it was euphoric and you imagine it and you do it. And then instantly I felt like crap because I was like, if I'm a fan, I'm rooting for you guys. And so it instantly sucked. And I was, and I knew you guys had taken a minute to compose yourself on the other side. And I was like, oh God, here they come. I was like, oh God.
But that was also, it wasn't just like composing ourselves because like it was the title, we dropped the ball, it was on us. It was also that thing of like, we love you guys. And like, I didn't want our emotions and like us crying or being upset to take away like the victory that you guys should feel. And like how like euphoric that moment should be for you. Like in my moment, like we were just like, I don't want to go in there and like because I knew you guys care about us deeply. Like this cast, like we're a family, like we're not doing it for show. Like you guys will like be at my future wedding. Like you guys are going to be in my life forever. So it was like, I didn't want to take away how awesome that was for you guys. And I was just like, I got to pull it together, but it's just like, it was hard. Of course it was hard. But like, we also were like, fuck yeah, for you guys, like that's awesome.
And you have kids and like, this isn't just for you, like this is for your future and your kids' futures. And it was like, and I'm close to several people on the show, but I'm probably closest with you. I love you so much. Like I am so happy that you won this and you were so flawless. And it was an honor to even run this with you guys because it was like, damn, those sons of bees, like they're so good. They never mess up. Like, when is Penn going to break his leg? Like, no, but seriously, it was like, it's beautiful because it's like just to see your kids' reactions to you guys, winning this. And it's like,
that was my favorite part about the whole finale.
You brought this win home to your babies. Like that's like, as parents, like, that's got to be the best feeling, best part of this.
And I want to echo that my wife was flawless, and I thought she ran
except for I made him knock over 97 pinatas.
That wasn't your fault. Honestly, I keep telling like we were talking about that pinata thing. We did the only thing we could do. Our donkey was like in between a taco and an ice cream cone, and I just had to smash the bleep out of like 800. Yeah, and it worked.
Fine.
So
I think Penn. I think you're both absolutely flawless. But if I had to pick one MVP, maybe just slightly, I would pick Kim. There's just you are like your note taking and just your directions and how well you also like did every single roadblock that came your way. I mean, I think it's so easy to look at a man and be like, oh, the guy did so well. But it's like, no, like, I mean, Kim, like you are the brains, like you are equally as smart. Maybe you don't have this ADHD, radar, laser focus that Penn has, but you have so many other insane qualities that, I mean, you're right. You won because it was 50-50, but I'm like, dude, Kim is, she is solid.
When I need some confidence, I'm just going to call you.
I agree with that. I mean, you heard me say it on the show. It like when it came down, when the chips were down, it was your preparation that made the big difference, and you were solid all the way through. That's what Raquel was trying to say, and I agree with her. I love that you mentioned that we won it for the babies and we won it for the kids because you have a family as well. I think I'm okay to announce this. Raquel is now married. Raquel has a baby on the way. So many wonderful things are happening to our friend Raquel. So many congratulations for all of that.
Thank you. Thank you. It's such an exciting time in my life. It's wild. It's like everything I've ever wanted in my life. And now I'm here. I'm like, this is crazy. Like I married my best friend and we're having a baby, a little baby boy. And it's so many blessings. I mean, I'm nauseous constantly. So I'm like, okay, I was already wreaking havoc in the best ways. I'm very lucky, but I'm like, oh, no one talks about how, exhausting pregnancy can be, especially, the first half of it. But yeah, I mean, my life I feel like the best is just beginning. So,
speaking of that, and Cayla, we're going to get to your life updates in a second, I promise. But I mean, married and a baby, that's a big deal. But also Raquel, you were everybody's life coach on the race, but now you can just legit be everybody's life coach. So talk to us about this business you've started and the work you're doing already.
Yeah, I feel so honored to have been on the show I feel like, I used to be a news reporter and then I was a flight attendant for a while and I still fly, but I've always had a really hard time finding what my purpose was and my passion. And I know that's always been helping people. And so I was, before COVID happened and all this, I was going to go back to grad school and get my degree in clinical psychology. And I went back on the race and everyone's like, you should do life coaching. And then the more people I met, the more people I talked to in the industry, I was like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And then just being on the show and, having, the world kind of see me being calm and poised and collected in stressful situations. I was like, okay, like this is a great, stepping stone for me to be able to do what I do in life. And, I said this recently, I was like, I might not have won $1 million, but like I found my purpose and my calling. And, I'm working with a handful of clients and like they'll call me up and they'll be like, you have changed my life. Like what you have done, I did not recognize this for the last 40 years of my life. And you have brought me so much insight. And it's like that feels so good. Like, that's why I'm so happy. It's not just the husband. It's not just the baby. It's like, I just feel complete on so many levels and I'm doing my life's work in a sense. I'm helping people, I'm giving people back. And, all of my own struggles and my own trials and tribulations in my life has brought me to this moment. And I feel like the Amazing Race has been such an amazing platform and just the support of, everyone that was on the show. And yeah, I'm really lucky. I'm like, everything is just, like I said, like the best years of my life are beginning. It's truly a blessing.
I'm so excited for you. And I knew you had this special gift because I'm older than you, so sometimes it seems silly to take advice from somebody who's so much younger. But I remember there was a day, I think it was the day after the first Thessaloniki. So you had come from behind, you had finished in second. So we had a great day, but you had, you had struggled. And so you were kind of processing that and you had said something, you're like, it was really tough for me afterwards, but I just need to sit with that. And I need to think about like why I'm feeling like this now. And I just need to sit with that and just feel it for a second and figure out why. I'm like,
no one says that on The Amazing Race. They throw things.
I know. And I'm like, and so
blame their partner.
Yeah. And so I use that internally now. I'm like, I'm feeling really anxious. I'm feeling like, let me sit with this for a second and think like, let me kind of unravel this and think why why am I feeling like this? Let me feel it, and then let me send it on its way. And so again, I know you do so much more, and if somebody works with you, they get that sort of wisdom all the time. But just that little statement was really profound, and you just kind of casually threw it out there. So anyway, just want to point to that.
Kim, most of my clients are like between 45 and 55. I would say like the average age of my clients are older than me. And it's like, age is it's just a number. Like if you're 80, let me help you, if you're 17 and struggling, I have such a wide range of clients, but I always say like, the most important thing is to learn to live in a space of conscious awareness. So when you do have different emotions that arise, you are aware of the thoughts and the feelings. So then you could sit in that space, and then you can kind of grow and learn and just be aware of like some of your subconscious reactions to things. Yeah. So all that good stuff and more I work on.
Let's move on to Cayla. Cayla,
are you married or pregnant?
No. Okay, so we've got that handled. But we're looking at Cayla right now. She's in an audio booth. She has found a real talent in podcasting and trying this medium that we're in right now. She and Dusty did a recap, and I think we can all agree that Dusty may as well not even be there because Cayla is so. No, I'm kidding. Dusty's like the great special sauce, but Cayla is a very talented traffic cop / bus driver when it comes to content. I don't know how much of this you're going to do, but I just want to compliment you on what you've done in your podcast with Dusty. I think that you have a real knack for this.
100%. Oh my God. Thank you. It's so funny because I like grew up and I would like have random moments where I would have to hear myself talk and I'm like, oh, is that what I sound like? And I've just embraced it. And, if I'm not your cup of tea, that's okay. But no, it's been so fun. I mean, I've loved this experience so much. I've watched the show since middle school. So I had a conversation with Dusty on the plane ride where I was like, I want to talk about this. Like, I want to be able to share with my friends and family and anyone else out there that, has enjoyed this experience or this show. And I want to give them something that I necessarily didn't have, like, when I watched it just as a fan. And so, no, it's been so fun. But I promise you, once this is over, it is not the last you'll hear of myself or Dusty. We have some big ideas. So if you're interested, please definitely stay tuned. It is, Pit Stop Podcast. But no, that means so much, especially coming from you guys. It started off as just a fun project and a way to reflect back. But then I was like, I actually really enjoyed this.
You guys did a great job.
You did.
I will say, can I add something about Cayla?
Yeah.
There was a clip of us on the extra YouTubes, the YouTubes. I'm 87. And I think it was
on the line.
In Portugal, and he was asking like, what sort of challenges? I was like, yeah, okay. If there's a karaoke challenge, we got it. Like, bring on the karaoke challenge. I don't know. I have now seen Cayla Platt karaoke, and it would not be an easy win for us.
And it's not what you expect on karaoke. So we got to the bar and she's like, the key is that I commit 100%. And I knew from then and there, like, that I was going to like this.
Goners.
But it's largely like diva / Disney stuff. And it is a full committal, a lot of pointing and
like
grasping.
Squatting.
There was a pole on the stage that was used in a very tasteful manner.
Tasteful.
But you could be a karaoke singer / podcaster. I will, like, by the way, I was feeling bad about ripping on Dusty. I actually think Dusty's fantastic in this podcast too. And I think you guys both have a future.
Yes.
So witty in his one-liners. Like, he's the most creative person that I've ever met. I can't imagine. I love Raquel, but like, I know, like, she doesn't eat, sleep, breathe this. She has like much bigger and better things going on in her life. So I was like, Dusty, let's do this. Yeah, no, he's incredible. But yeah, I'm all about commitment. If you're gonna do something, you gotta do it 100%. And I definitely do that with karaoke and other things in my life.
Little did you know, when we lived in New York City, there was a karaoke bar like a 10-minute walk from her house that Cayla was a regular at. So she doesn't give all her secrets away.
She's been practicing, is what you're saying.
Well, some people want to go play pool or like go take shots. I'm like, I want to go sing some Disney songs.
So back to the race real quick. What is the thing you packed that you were so glad you did?
Mine was the compass. It didn't get a lot of airtime, although I was wearing it around my neck during the rock challenge. It sounds so silly, but just even though I'm following myself on the map or, you know, my whole thing was about like orientation, right? Like, where do we start? Where are we going? And what direction is that? To where even if I didn't take necessarily the right road or the right highway, I at least knew, okay, we are going in the right direction. That was my like source of comfort.
Yeah.
That and my glasses.
Nice.
Someone goes, yeah, in your podcast, she's like, she's not wearing glasses, so why'd she wear them on TV? Because I wanted to see.
Here, it's not as important.
What I was doing. Compass and glasses.
Yes. Mine would be, I brought a book by Eckhart Tolle called A New Earth. And it was just, it's very grounding. And I don't know, I just, it brings me a lot of joy and inner peace. And, you know, the more calm and peaceful I could be, you know, I feel like the better I performed on the race. So it was just, I don't know, it was my little bit of my sanity, you know, It was like my therapist away from home.
Was there something that you brought that you would have ditched that you felt like you didn't need to bring?
I'm going to answer this one for Raquel because in the start of the race, she brought a probably 10 to 12 pound blow dryer.
And
that was the size of Akbar's foot. It was massive. And I was like, Raquel, you did not bring that. And I would tell people like, guys, look at this blow dryer, Raquel. And she would get so mad at me. She was so embarrassed.
Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I don't want my hair to look terrible, you know? And then I realized the second go around, okay, I was ridiculous. But I was like, Cayla, this is a secret no one knows about. She's exposing me. I'm vulnerable.
The second go around, you can obviously see that we downsized our pack significantly. The first thing that had to go was Raquel's blow dryer. But the thing that I brought that I definitely did not need was an extra pair of shoes, actually. My dad made these insane lists of
so
like
cute.
things that, like, he would watch and be like, oh, well, this one time they ran in the water and their soles got like soaking wet. And then you have to go the next day and then they couldn't dry and they didn't have dry shoes. And now they got blisters and now they lost, you know? So I was like, oh my God, I need an extra pair of shoes. I quickly realized I was like, those gotta go. So that was my thing, was an extra pair of tennis shoes in case they got wet. And I was like, they gotta go.
We brought water shoes. So we had an extra pair.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's smart. I brought a ton of stuff for laundry, like these laundry sheets. And they just took up room and they were kind of heavy and I just didn't need them. And they stunk. They were terrible. They didn't really even work. So I probably would have ditched that.
We all bought so much winter gear
the first time
with the assumption that and we brought winter gear the second time too, babe.
I know, but I just brought like a light puffy coat.
Yeah, but fine. I mean, there was gloves. You brought gloves. We brought like...
No, I just brought work gloves. I didn't bring winter gloves.
Yeah, okay, that's true. But my point is, we never needed any of it. It never got cold on that second restart.
I had a big black
you were in the same area
coat that I had strapped on the bottom of my thing, and every leg I'd be like, oh, should I ditch this? Do I need this? It wasn't heavy. It was more so just like a spatial awareness on my back kind of thing that I don't think I really needed, which I did actually end up ditching before LA, but none of the winter stuff we needed. I forgot about that.
I kind of needed my little puffy coat a few times because I get cold.
In the hotel room.
Is there anything else we're missing, you guys, or anything else that, like, as you've done 1,000 interviews about this show and this experience, but is there something like that you've forgotten to say, wanted to say?
No, I think I told you guys I love you all. It's been a blast. People keep asking, would I do this again? I'm like, oh, don't ask me right now. Kayla's like 1,000%. I'm like, I need a break.
You just made.
And then like in the back, they're like, but would Raquel do it again? I'm like, okay, like she's married, she's having a baby. That's a loaded question. Like, I don't know.
Have that baby, then go back and make us proud. I love you guys, and you're stuck with us.
Thanks so much. We'll see you guys soon.
See you soon.
Love you
guys.